your body and your brain and your mind and your heart really are waiting to be able to release that one final note.
Cynthia, congratulations. It's an extraordinary film, but I've
Thank
got a
you.
confession to make, and
Yes.
that's I never saw Wicked on stage. I know
That's
I'm a terrible theatre lover, and I'm sure some of our audience won't have seen it on
uh-huh.
stage. So was it daunting for you to take on
Mhm.
a work that so many people had seen and loved? Because we know musical theatre
Yes.
fans are passionate.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't necessarily think it was daunting. I think I knew immediately that there was a huge responsibility because it was such a well-known piece to take as much care of it as I possibly could. And so what I was determined to do was make sure that I was prepared when I was on the set and ready with all the tools that I needed in order to give as much as I possibly could to the role and to the piece. So I did my training and I was up every morning about 2 a.m. doing 1 to 2 hours of working out before getting in the chair. And I was wearing practical makeup, so there's no CGI on my face. It's all practical. And I had a wonderful team doing that with
And the
me.
camera is on you a lot.
Yes, 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 yes. And, I wanted to make sure that my voice did what it needed to do. So I had a vocal coach, Cynthia Erivo. I was really lucky that I was flanked and supported by wonderful, wonderful people to make sure that I could do this as well as I could. Yeah.
Now, this is Classic FM, so we're very interested in the music,
Yes.
obviously. Now, I've heard you talk about the importance of the ear.
Yes.
And, I mean, you're blessed in that your co-star
Yes.
has done a bit of singing before. But you have very different voices.
Yes.
How do you manage to blend so spectacularly well?
So when I was speaking about the ear, when it comes to blending and singing with another person, the actual most important thing with that is listening, is the hearing and listening to what the other person is doing. And that, I think, is where the blend comes, which for me was just a pleasure and a delight because Ari, in order to do that, is being so generous. And we both have to give to each other so that we can meet each other in the middle with the sounds of our voices. Because apart, we're very different. Our voices sound so very, very different. But when we sing together, you can't tell which is which. And that's because there's a wonderful, generous listening happening at the same time. Yeah.
It's a complicity, isn't it? And,
that's
and
right.
that must be incredibly exciting. When you feel that sweet
Yeah.
spot, that must be...
It's thrilling. Yeah.
And it must be very difficult as well when there's so much going on
Yeah.
the set.
But I think we had agreed that we would make sure that we would always take care of each other and make the space for each other and provide each other with whatever we needed to make sure that we could be our best in these roles. So even though there's lots going on, also everyone is of one accord. So we all know which direction we're moving in. We all know what we want to achieve. So nothing was happening that wasn't going to aid us in the journey. So I feel like we were taken well care of, or well taken care of rather, to be able to do this. And then when it needed to be quiet, it was definitely quiet. And when it needed to have life and when it needed to be rambunctious, it was. Everything in the right direction.
It comes down to having a great director as well.
Oh my goodness.
Who pulls you through that journey.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's incredibly physically demanding.
Yes.
Film. You talked about the training.
Yes.
The hours you had to get up. I've seen a film where you're being flung around.
That's right.
On a wire.
On my wires.
The final song, Defying Gravity.
That's right.
Was that as fun as it looked?
Yes. I think for me, it was definitely fun. For others, it might not be as fun because your body is being held with harnesses and you're in wires. But I loved the feeling of being able to be flown around. You're having to use your body in tandem with the wires because the wires will move you from place to place and maybe spin you in the right direction. But if you're having to do a flip, let's say, or there's in that video, I think I'm doing a loop-de-loop, I have to make sure my body goes over and comes back around again. So you're working together. There's a harmoniousness that goes with that kind of flight work, but it's amazing. I love it.
You're not just doing acrobatics, you're
Singing at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So how do you sing different? I mean, you're clamped
Yes.
to a harness.
So your diaphragm is sort of inhibited, and so are your lungs in a way. But my wonderful vocal coach, Antea, worked with me just to find out where to place the breath. You're taking shallower breaths than you would like to, but if you can expand the lungs in a way that gives you more space, you can still use the breath to make the sound that you need to make. And often with big sounds, you need the ground to push back on, and I don't have the ground under me. But if I can almost imagine the ground beneath my feet when I am making those sounds. It's easier to get the force up and out to make the sound.
So it's psychological
yes,
to produce
to
that
produce
sound.
the sound. That's right.
But also you engaged in something which you described as cardiovascular conditioning, which sounds
Yes.
well, it sounds quite intense.
Yes.
Like something a little
running
bit
and singing at the same time. Yeah.
What does that involve?
So every morning I would do a long run or a bike ride and sing at the same time. And it wasn't particular what songs but anything that gave me space to have to be open. I would choose the song and just sing whilst I was running and biking. And usually it's a long, fast run. So that would allow me to get my body used to making sound whilst moving at a fast pace. And that's sort of the long and short of it, which helps to condition the lungs to breathe slightly differently than if I was standing still and singing. Yeah.
And you produce that incredible final note, which feels, when you're watching the movie, like an incredible emotional release. Is that how it felt for you?
Definitely, yeah. I think, and I was always looking forward to that moment, just because everything builds to there. So your body and your brain and your mind and your heart really are waiting to be able to release that one final note, because it's the ultimate moment where she can become herself. Yeah.
Now, part 2 comes out this time next year. What are you up to in the meantime?
Right now, getting this out for sure. I have an album in the works. I've just finished writing it. We're going to hopefully finish that. And I just announced that I've signed a deal with Universal as a producer. So we'll be finding different things that we want to work with. I have a series with Apple that we've been writing. So that may be the next thing that comes out this year. And I just finished doing an episode of Poker Face with Ryan Johnson as well. So that's coming, I think, in January. Yeah.
Very exciting. Well, I can honestly say that Wicked, it is the best modern film musical that I've seen. And in no small part down to your extraordinary performance. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's really kind.
No, I mean it. And I can't wait to see part 2.
Thank you.